Now, today in the classroom, we have two wonderful teachers. We're going to start with Matt Bellis of Liberty Health Share, who's just moving around, and Dr. Neal Barnard, who this is his latest book called Your Body in Balance. I believe it's his 19th book, but he's lost count, just like the old woman in the shoe. So it's like he's got so many books, he just doesn't know what to do. But these are all exceptional books. And today we're going to talk about balance, not only in the health share industry, but also in our bodies and how we can create that. We are giving away 3 of these books. So make sure that you do what is told of you. So you need to like, post, share, tag, do all this stuff. And then your name will be added to the winner's basket. And from there, 3 names will be selected. So with that in mind, I am going to get started. So fasten your seatbelts because we're going to learn and grow together. Here we go. It's time to dance. I want to see those moves.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friends and my viewing friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is your first time in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends at Lillian's radio show and Facebook, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, if I asked you, if you could change your life, if you could change your outcome, change the way you eat, change the way you love, and all of a sudden, your life will fall into place, would you do it? Would you do it? Well, a lot of people don't know that they can make some changes in their life that will make their life better. Even if you're not ill, just making a change can make your life better. I didn't know I could feel better when I started a raw vegan, when I was challenged in the classroom to go raw vegan. 4 days later, I felt phenomenal. Here's the deal. I didn't feel bad. So I didn't know I could feel better. Well, today we're going to talk about better. What can we do to feel better? What can we do to balance our life? What can we do? And I'm going to quote the great philosopher Meatloaf when he said, I would do anything for. What is what we would do anything for? You can fill in the blank, whether it's love, it's whatever. But here's the thing that he says after that. But I won't do that. I won't do that. Today we're going to talk about what are we willing to do to create balance in our life. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I'm so grateful that today we have Dr. Neal Barnard. He is a Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and I'm just going to give him a doctor title, Matt Bellis of Liberty Health Share. And we're going to talk, because they're here to do just that, to create this balance that we've been longing for and seeking in our life. So thank you guys for being here to create this new balance that we need to be aware of.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're going to be starting with Matt Bellis, and we're going to be talking about balance. And so balance is everywhere in our life. And so when we talk about the balance, the limiting beliefs, like we talked about last time we were together. So let's talk about the balance with Health Share and how we can create that balance by taking our life back, our health back.
Well, really, whenever you're bringing up that whole discussion and idea, what comes to mind really in what we do at Liberty Health Share is really to empower people to take that control back for their own health care. That's really the impetus of why we are called Liberty Health Share, because we want to set people free in the realm of healthcare. What puts us frankly out of balance is whenever we have individuals who are in charge of our decisions. So whenever you're part of a third-party payment system that is making decisions on your behalf, you don't have the ability to exercise that individual freedom and control over your healthcare that you necessarily need to make the proper decisions for your life. If you have a bureaucrat 3,000 miles away out in Connecticut who is making decisions on your behalf, you're not going to be able to seek the kind of treatments or do the kind of procedures or the tests that you and your doctor may want to do because they're not there with you. They're the third party outside of the room. And so really it's necessary in our current standpoint of healthcare and what we do at Liberty Health Share is to regain that control back in healthcare. And the only way to do that, frankly, is to drop out of the third party payment system. But really that begins the question of, well, what happens whenever something comes up that is unaffordable and unexpected? That's when you need a community behind you to support you and help you in your time of need. So not only are you dropping out of the third-party pay system by becoming a self-pay patient, responsible for your own healthcare and your own healthcare bills, but then you have a community behind you to help you during those times of need. So that's what we want to do in Liberty Health Share in giving you back the freedom that's necessary within your own healthcare.
Yes. And so, you know, it's still hard to grasp because we've been indoctrinated. We've been taught how to think, how to believe, how to act. And it's real easy. We've been taught since we were little, you need to have insurance. You need to have insurance. You need to have insurance. And the reality is, when I made that switch from insurance to a health share, I realized I could do better. I could have better.
You're absolutely right. That type of mentality is really what sets a lot of people back. So you're in good company. Actually, it was my wife who actually said, whenever we were ready to jump onto Liberty Health Share, she said, really? It's not real insurance?
That's right. That's right.
She's echoing that same type of mentality that I think has been so pervasive in our country to say that's the only way to take care of healthcare bills. And really, it's not. Liberty Health Share has been here leading the charge in all the ways in which that we can become independent of that third-party pay system, because that means restrictions on your life. And what we want to do is bring back a lot more freedom and availability to you to make the decisions that you want. Basically, Lillian, what you do in the classroom here is teach people how to express themselves in a much more free way with their own bodies and their own health. Well, that would be very difficult in a lot of instances when you're talking about third-party pay. Especially in searching out alternative treatments or different ways of taking care of your body. We respect that. We want people to be able to search those out, take care of those items that they want to within those realms.
Yes.
Which would be much more difficult in a third-party payment system.
Yes. And one of the things that was scary for me at first, and I'll be honest, was, you know, making that leap of the community and relying on the community. And it's not like I'm knocking on doors saying, hey, can I borrow some money? You're ensuring, you're securing or assuring that we have at least $1 million per incident when it comes to helping me with my expenses. And so let's talk a little bit about the costs. The cost, like if I were a single person and I want to have Liberty Health Share, how much it costs, how much out-of-pocket expenses or non-shared amounts would be for a single, a couple, and a family.
If you were to join Liberty Health Share with our most comprehensive program, Liberty Complete, A single can look to join for their suggested monthly share amount at $2.99 per month. A couple, $3.99 per month. And for a family of 3 or more, $5.29 per month. And whenever you go to the doctor, hospital, you have a medical bill, that's when we have what we call our annual unshared amount. That's the amount of money that you pay before sharing begins to your doctor or hospital. That's $1,000 for an individual, $1,750 for a couple, and $2,250 for, again, that family of 3 or more.
It's amazing. I remember my deductible, it was going to cost me $500 more to be added to my husband's insurance. And the deductible was like $5,000. And so, and then I couldn't go to the doctors I wanted to go to. I had to go to their doctors, right, and I had to go to their wherever. And so this way I have total control of where I go. And of course I choose alternative functional, and whatever works for me. And you've heard me say before, one size does not fit all. And so because one size does not fit all, I want to be able to choose, do I want to go allopathic here? Do I want to go to my chiropractor, to my, you know, and be able to choose. And even when I had my explant surgery, Liberty Health Share was there by my side. So those are things, you know, a medically necessary surgery, you guys were there. And so would you like to share anything about, you know, how you're able to create where I can choose where to go instead of you telling me what to do or where to go?
Really, when we started Liberty Health Share, we realized that we needed to put the right things first, that we needed to make sure that we were a function of morality where we respected people's individual rights, their freedoms, and supported them in a community. So it is the right thing to control your own healthcare. It's the right thing to support one another in times of need. And what we have seen by doing those types of right things first, we see ancillary benefits that we didn't even count on. When you start to really tap into foundational truths of life, you start to see consequences that are in the positive. You get to see the good things happen. So when we see that, we see lower cost, greater access, greater availability, which means that you can go see a doctor or hospital of your choice, which means that that doesn't become an arm and a leg issue, because we're able to release the power of the private self-pay patient. We're able to contain costs on the front lines rather than trying to predict what the costs are going to be through actuarial tables. So we've done all the necessary things to do the right things first so that we respect you and everyone else. And because of that, we've had benefits that have come from that have just been fantastic and amazing. And thankfully, Lillian, you are a testament to those wonderful benefits.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I appreciate it, because I was just going to say, you are not just a sponsor of the classroom that I talk about every day, but I'm also a member for the last 3 years. And today, with the keeping with a theme of balance with Dr. Neal Barnard's latest book, and he's going to be coming on in a couple of minutes, I want to say that with everything in life, sometimes we grow too much, or too much of a good thing can be harmful too. And I know with Liberty Health Share, you guys are creating new balance for yourself as well. And so anything that you would like to say about that?
Well, we are working on a lot of different things over this next year about improving our services, improving our relationship with our members, doing what we can to really bring information and power back to the individual, because really that's what we want to do with folks like yourself, Lillian, is to empower you as an individual to be able to express what you want in your own healthcare. So we're going to be continuing to work on that as we move forward into the new year. So if people are interested, I just say come and join us.
And the way you join, you can click onto whenyouneedafriend.com and click onto my sponsors page and Liberty Health Share, or you can go to libertyhealthshare.org. That's libertyhealthshare.org, or you can call 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. I really truly believe in developing relationships where a win-win. And when I learned about health share, I said, this is a win for everybody, because the high cost of medical care is causing a collapse in our economy. And so this is a way that I can do something to help with those high costs. So thank you so much, Matt, for everything that you do, and Liberty Health Share for creating something different and new with us to make informed choice and create balance for our lives. So thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. Appreciate that.
Again, this is Matt Billis, and Matt Billis is with Liberty Health Share. That's libertyhealthshare.org. Again, the number is 855-58-Liberty, or that's 855-585-4237. Thank you so much, Matt, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Again, take care. Okay, now we're going to switch. And for those of you who are wondering about this beautiful book, and this is really timely. It's a very timely book, especially with so many people out there having issues with hormone imbalance. And the hormones are so important in our life. And we don't even know what is causing our problem. And we might think, okay, I'm just getting older. Well, how about if we get better? How about if we get balanced? And that's where Dr. Neal Barnard comes in, and we're giving away 3 of these books. So you know what to do. Comment below that you want a copy of this book, share it, tag this post, this show. And the more you tag, the more your entries will go in. So you have to make sure you like the page, and you have to make sure you like this particular broadcast. But most importantly, every time you tag somebody, your name will be added to the winner's basket. And on Friday, I will select a winner for 3 winners. So thank you, Dr. Barnard, for always being so generous every time you come into the classroom.
Well, I'm delighted to do that, Lillian. Thank you so much for inspiring people and educating them too.
Well, I can only do that if I have people like you inspiring me. And so let's talk about this book. 19 books. Why this one? Why now? What's going on?
I got to tell you, with this one, it kind of started out a little bit by accident. I was sitting here at my desk and my phone rang, and it was a young woman who said, Dr. Barnard, I need your help. I can't get out of bed. And I said, what's the problem? And she said, she started describing menstrual cramps, and many women have them, but for maybe 1 in 10 women or so, they are just off the scale, painful. And, you're not going to go to work that day. And she said, I've got a business trip tomorrow. I can't get out of bed. How am I supposed to get on a plane? And she called me because she wanted some heavy duty painkillers. I said, well, I can do that. I can give you some painkillers for a couple of days, but how do we stop this from happening next month and the month after that? And I have to tell you, Lillian, I made a suggestion that I don't think any doctor ever suggested as a treatment for menstrual pain before, which was, I said, let me give you painkillers for right now, but for the next 4 weeks, would you like it to do an experiment? No animal products in your diet. I'm going to make you into a complete vegetarian and keep oily foods to a bare minimum. And that, you wouldn't think how that could possibly help, but she tried it, she did it. And the next month came and she said, she called me up, said, this is amazing. My cycle came, no symptoms at all. And it was effectively a cure. So I then tested this with our colleagues at Georgetown University School of Medicine in the Department of OBGYN. And we did a large randomized clinical trial. And it works. And the reason, just to kind of tip my hat, is that the problem here is estrogen. The ovaries make estrogen, which is a female sex hormone that changes what goes on in the uterus. And if there's a little too much estrogen activity, the cramps can be really terrible. And if you really reduce the fat and really boost the fiber in the diet, estrogen levels adjust. And so when I put her on a completely vegan diet, that was the maximal adjustment, and that just knocked out her pain. So anyway, I got excited about it, not because, cramps don't kill you, but the same ability to control hormones can protect you perhaps from things that could kill you. Breast cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, and then prostate cancer. And if we can control hormones, you can control a wide range of things, from your energy level to your mood to pain. So I got excited about it, and that's why I decided to write this book.
Well, I hear, like your excitement. When I first met with you and you were, before we started the class today, I could hear that in your voice, that this is different and new for you.
Yes.
And even though it's different and new, once again, you're stepping outside that box and saying, well, I'm grabbing a new tool for my medical tool bag, my medical bag. And so this is something that, like you said earlier, this woman was calling you to get pain medication for her cramps, but that wasn't treating the root. It was just putting like a cloak or like a Band-Aid on instead of a tourniquet, or like a tourniquet on a bleeding, gushing vein. And so that little simple thing, which you've talked about before, switching your diet and all that, but how many of us think of, we can control our hormones, we can create this balance, we don't have to feel that way, we can be better. So how quickly did she feel better?
Oh, right in the very next month. So what I did is I did give her kind of a Band-Aid for the period that she was having at the moment, because she was in agony. So I gave her some painkillers, but then she changed her diet, and the next month the problem was solved. I got to tell you another story though.
Yeah.
We, as I mentioned, we did a research study to put this to the test with our friends at Georgetown University. And then we asked all of the women who were participating in the study to not take any hormone medications, because that would goof up the study. Okay. And so that meant if they were on the pill, we asked them to use some other kind of contraception because the pill is a hormone that's going to goof everything up. Mm-hmm. So one of the women in the study, she said, "Don't worry about me. I don't use contraception at all, because my husband and I, we realized that we couldn't have a baby. We were both evaluated." She said, "It's not him, it's me. I don't ovulate, so I don't use contraception." She hadn't for years.
Oh no.
The second month that she was on the healthy, completely plant-based diet, getting her hormones back into balance, she came into the research center, and this is a true story. She said, "Dr. Barnard, I've got bad news, I've got good news. And the bad news is I'm leaving your study. The good news is I am pregnant." She gave birth to a healthy child, and then a little bit later, she gave birth to a second baby, and then she had a third child. And Lillian, here's my point. The first patient thought she had a disease, dysmenorrhea. The second patient thought she had a disease, infertility. Yeah. We see so many of these things, and maybe you do, but I think of them as really being simply out of balance. And if we get back into balance, maybe these problems can be fixed. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a role for medical care, there is. But if a problem is caused by hormones, let's use foods that get our hormones back to where they should be. And very often it's the most powerful, but also most gentle treatment that we can find.
And a lot of people that I say something like this to get upset. They get upset that it's that simple. That we, and again, one size does not fit all. What works for me may not work for you or the next person. But I really do want to maybe see what do we have in common here. You said estrogen. Estrogen causes problems with, cramps or fertility, or, because when you wrote in the book, you address some major stuff that we're been told that we'll have for the rest of our life. Right. Diabetes, infertility, you talk about cancer, erectile dysfunction. Oh, you're just getting older. Right. All these things. And so that's what our limiting beliefs is. And I'm hoping that by doing this classroom, we start rewriting the program that we've been lied to, and other people are profiting from this lie. And so with that in mind, let's talk about fertility. We basically touched into it. And then and polycystic ovarian. I was told that I was polycystic ovarian and I could never have children. I have two beautiful kids. But I didn't know that a lot of people like people that have endometriosis, there's gluten and there's dairy and there's sugar, all these things that are inflammatory in the body. So let's talk about the balance in your body.
Sure. It sounds a little complicated, but it's relatively simple. There are many aspects of this, but in a woman's body, the ovaries make estrogens. And the estrogens go to the uterus, and they enlarge the inner lining of the uterus every month in anticipation of pregnancy. Mm-hmm. If there's a little bit too much estrogenic activity, meaning you've got too many estrogens in your bloodstream, or they're a little bit too active. It thickens up the lining of the uterus too much, and that causes too much cramping at the end of the month. If you happen to have cells that have come from that lining out into the abdomen, that's endometriosis. The estrogens will cause that to grow and expand and be painful there too, and that can lead to infertility. A woman might have fibroids, which are little muscular knots in the wall of the uterus, and estrogens will cause that to grow too. And ultimately, estrogens can, for some women, lead to breast cancer because the estrogen can cause DNA changes. So that's the bad that it can do. If it's not in balance, how do I get it into balance?
Mm-hmm.
A couple of fairly simple things. Your liver will remove excess estrogen and send it into the intestinal tract, where fiber will carry it right down the toilet. But if you don't have fiber in your diet, because you're eating chicken breast and salmon and steak and that kind of stuff, your body reabsorbs those estrogens back into circulation. So what's the answer? Bring the fiber back. Fiber just means the roughage in vegetables and fruits and beans and whole grains, and that calms the estrogen down. Step 2, keep oils and greasy foods really low for whatever reason. That brings estrogens back down too. And the third, and I'm gonna hurt everybody's feelings, I'm gonna say it's good to break up with cheese. Everybody loves cheese, but it doesn't love you back. It's this bad love affair. And the reason I'm saying that now is that cheese has estrogens in it that come from cows, dairy cows, and it gets into milk, but it's more concentrated in the cheese. And when men eat cheese, it lowers their sperm counts. When women eat cheese, they're getting estrogens added to their own. So they're very, very simple steps, and you can take as much of it or as little of it as you want to. And my goal is to help you get back in balance and to feel good again.
Interesting. Is there any in your study that you did when you were researching this, any story that comes out as you're? Would you like?
Yes. Let me tell you another. There's a young woman that we were working with who was in the Air Force. Her name is Catherine. She's an Air Force aerospace engineer, and I have to tell you, she's quite a person. In 2003, she was in Iraq, setting up the military bases and all this stuff. And when you're working really hard, you're in a war zone, you're eating what the government gives you, which is not much, you don't gain any weight. And when her tour of duty finally came to an end, she was shipped back to the US. And back stateside, she thought, what are all the foods that I've been missing? What am I going to eat? And so she started digging specifically into cheese, macaroni and cheese snacks and all this kind of stuff. And she gained weight, but she started to get some pain in her abdomen that turned out to be endometriosis. This is the condition I was describing, where cells from the inside of the uterus sneak out. And in her case, they were implanting all over her abdomen, on the intestine, on the ovaries, on the fallopian tubes, and it can cause excruciating pain and even infertility. But here's what happened. She went to the doctor, and after medical treatments all failed, the doctor said, well, the last resort is a hysterectomy. She said, well, I'm 27. She and her husband were kind of newlyweds, and they hadn't raised a family. But her doctor said, you're probably infertile anyway from the disease. So anyway, they scheduled the procedure. They scheduled the hysterectomy for 6 weeks later. But before she could have it, she saw a nutrition counselor who took all that stuff out of her diet and put her on a completely healthy plant-based diet. And day by day, she started feeling better. But she's a dutiful person. 6 weeks later, she showed up to the operating room to have the hysterectomy. And the doctor started the procedure, started looking into her abdomen. An hour later, she woke up. She was in the recovery room. And the doctor's shaking her shoulders saying, Catherine, I need to talk to you. I looked inside, and your endometriosis is practically gone. You have a lot of scarring where it was, and you had some adhesions that I had to free up, but I didn't do the hysterectomy. You still got your uterus. You don't have endometriosis anymore. This is the most amazing thing. And he couldn't believe that the diet change had done this. He decided, no, it couldn't be that. It's got to be just some miracle. Yeah. Anyway, she still has her uterus. She lost weight. She no longer has endometriosis. She has 3 children now. Anyway, here's my point. These are dramatic stories, but they are true. They're real people. And Catherine now works in her own center in Dallas, where she helps other women to take back their health.
That's wonderful. It's a great story. It's a great story because we have been disempowered, or that from the moment we're born, we are told that, if you're sick, you go to the doctor. If you're
Right.
this, you go to the doctor, and the doctor knows best, and you do what the doctor says. Be a compliant patient. Be a compliant. Even in the Bible, it talks about being submissive to the king, and the king is the power, and all that. We've been taught from the very beginning to give up our power. But the reality is that we have the power to heal. If we give the body what it needs, then we have the power to heal. We will do this and more. So with that in mind, you talk about estrogen coming from the cheeses and the animal products.
Right.
Can they come from anywhere else? Can stress cause it?
Can stress cause it?
Yeah.
Well, yes, stress does affect hormones too in a different way, not estrogens, but the cortisol and the whole variety of stress hormones that come immediately. If somebody surprises you, or you're driving down the road and you suddenly see you're almost ready to rear end somebody and you slam on the brakes, you'll feel it in your blood, the effect of the stress hormones kicking in almost immediately. And your blood pressure goes up just like that. Your pulse will be rapid. These are all the physiological effects of hormones. And the point is you have a whole wide range of hormones. You have thyroid hormone, made in the thyroid gland at your neck, which gives you energy. It gets in your bloodstream and goes to the cells of your body. You have insulin, which is made in the pancreas that controls your blood sugar. And in women, their ovaries make estrogens, which control their reproductive function. In men, testes make testosterone, which I guess goes to a man's brain and makes him want to run for president again, apparently. So anyway, the point being that your hormones control many aspects of your health, and foods can dial your hormones. And so the point of this is simply to show people simple steps of doing it. And each one is a little different.
Yeah.
To get estrogen back into balance, throw out the animal products, get the cheese out especially, go really high fiber. For thyroid, a lot of people feel sluggish. I woke up today and I'm tired. And if I look back, I've gained a few pounds, but I'm not eating differently. Why am I gaining weight? And then my hair, there's something wrong with my hair. It feels dry. My skin doesn't look right. You go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, these are pretty nonspecific symptoms, but I think I might know what it is. And the doctor does a blood sample and says, I knew it, you're hypothyroid. The thyroid gland is not doing its thing, and so you're gaining weight and feeling sluggish. For that, there's the same diet changes I mentioned for estrogen are good, but I would add one more, and that's you need iodine in your diet, and most people don't think about that. And that's because we've been using iodized salt. The Morton company has those little blue canisters with a girl in the umbrella, and that's iodized salt. But being modern people, we use sea salt or Himalayan salt. Or kosher salt, which are great, but they don't have iodine in them unless it's specifically labeled. And so they might be then running low on thyroid and they're not feeling good. So what do? You can use iodized salt if you want, but my favorite thing is to get to know sea vegetables. Nori and wakame and erame are kind of unusual terms for Americans. Everybody in Japan knows what they are. And so I describe how to make a salad. Or how, let's say you go to the sushi bar, which is the healthy sushi. It's not the fish sushi, it's the cucumber roll or the sweet potato roll or the asparagus roll. And the seaweed wrapper has the iodine that gets your thyroid back in balance. So there's a lot of tricks like that, but people use them and they feel good without the need for medication. Now, don't fire your doctor. Doctors have an important role. Sometimes you need medication. Sometimes we need surgery.
Sure.
Even on a perfect diet, bad things can happen. But we want to plug the food part in for sure.
And you talk a lot about cancer and for men and women. And so is there anything you'd like to add about that you need to make us aware that, by the way, 3 people are going to win a copy of Dr. Barnard's book. It's called Your Body in Balance. It's a new science of food, hormones, and health. And so make sure you like this broadcast, share it, but start tagging a bunch of friends. So by liking and sharing, that's one, but the tagging, you're going to get, every time you tag somebody for this broadcast, that you will get your name put back into. So the more you are part of getting the word out, the more you will be added to the winner's basket. And we'll pick 3 winners on Friday. Okay, so Dr. Barnard, let's talk about cancer. And cancer, it's horrible.
Let's talk about men and women.
Yes.
For men, the big cancer risk really is prostate cancer.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in medical school, we were taught everybody gets prostate cancer if you just live long enough. It's inevitable. Well, it turned out it's not. Turns out it's not inevitable. Some people tend not to get it. Some people tend to get it a lot,
Mm-hmm.
or are much more likely to get it.
Yeah.
And let me start with the bad stuff. I was mentioning cheese for women with endometriosis and so forth, and that it has estrogens in it. It turns out that something similar affects men. At Harvard University, researchers did a study called the Physician's Health Study that showed that men who consume the most milk had 34% higher risk of prostate cancer. Well, what's that about? Well, it turns out that the milk causes the body to create something called insulin-like growth factor that makes a calf grow. And if a man drinks it, it makes the man, well, he's not going to grow any taller. What's going to happen is cancer cells can grow. And the same thing appears to happen for women with breast cancer. There was a study out just last week that showed that women drinking the most milk had between a 50 and 80% higher risk of developing breast cancer. We think it's the hormone changes. Similarly, if you look over the last century or more, cheese intake has gradually been inching up, and sperm counts in men have been inching downward. And we think it's the estrogens that are affecting them. But can I say one other thing for men?
Sure, you can say anything you want.
Okay, well, this is an important one. This is something that is not hormone related, but widely misunderstood. And the guy goes to the doctor. He says, "Doc, I don't know how to tell you this. There's something wrong with my nature." And the doctor says, "I'm not quite sure I follow." And so the patient says, "Well, I can't raise the flag." The doctor says, "Aha, you mean you want a Viagra prescription, is that right?" And the patient says, "That's it, bingo." So the doctor writes out a prescription, the patient grabs it and says, "Thanks, doc," and he heads out. The doctor at that point jumps to his feet, chases the patient before he goes down the elevator, says, "Stop, we're not done yet. Sit down, I gotta tell you something." The doctor explains to the patient that the reason he has erectile dysfunction, it's not that he's got performance anxiety, and it's not that he's got low testosterone. What he's got is narrowed arteries. It's a condition called atherosclerosis, where he's been eating fatty foods and high cholesterol foods, and it's narrowing his blood flow. It's causing little blister-like things called atherosclerotic plaques to form in his arteries. And the first place where you really see symptoms is not in the arteries to the heart or the arteries to the brain, it's in the arteries to the man's private parts. Mm-hmm. And he's not getting blood flow, so his thing doesn't work. And so he goes and complains to the doctor, and the doctor has to say, "But you have this problem in the arteries to your heart too. It just hasn't gotten to the critical stage yet. You're a setup for a heart attack in the next 3 to 5 years. You got the arteries into your brain having the same problem. You're a setup for a stroke. Take the Viagra if you want. It will not treat those problems. Yeah. What you have to do is to change your diet." And this is where Hank says, "Okay, doc, what do I do?" And he says, "All right, I want you next time you're eating spaghetti, no meat sauce, have the tomato sauce. I want you to make chili. Instead of meat chili, have it be the bean chili." He's giving him all the plant-based foods. And what he discovers is not only does he not have the heart attack and you've prevented his stroke, but his erectile dysfunction gets better on its own because a plant-based diet allows the arteries to open up again. So if he had just gotten the Viagra,
salute the flag, right?
There you go. Yes,
I salute thee.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talked about estrogen first, but now let's talk about the erectile dysfunction.
Right.
And so we're looking at what testosterone. What
Right.
would keep a man from producing testosterone?
Yeah. I have to say, I think this is one of the most really misunderstood areas, and I think I'm going to blame marketing for this a little bit.
Sure.
You turn on the TV and you'll see commercials saying, "Are you not yourself? Men, do you feel not manly? You know, and you need T, testosterone. You've got low T." And so you go to the doctor, you go online, and you'll see all these people want to sell you things. And so what does the guy do? He buys testosterone. He gets a prescription. He's getting the testosterone treatments, and he discovers he doesn't feel better. Why? Because he's still eating the double bacon cheeseburgers that are keeping his arteries narrowed, and his flag is not raising at all.
Sure.
And so in this case, what I'm going to say is that his testosterone is probably adequate, and that raising it may not be what he needs to do. What he really needs to do is to change his diet. I'm a little nervous about people who do take testosterone treatments because they're understudied to see what the dangers of it might actually be. So I'm going to get Hank's diet back in gear if I can.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, there are men who have low testosterone.
Right.
Something is keeping them from producing. It's like, okay, like in the East, they look at blood. In the West, they look at water. In the West, we look at blood. So we're looking at numbers. We're not really looking at the whole.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at someone who has low testosterone, they're going to focus on that. But you're saying that it's not the root cause.
That's not the root cause. But there are men where their testosterone is not doing what it should. And it may not be that they're not making it. It may be that it's being lost. And here's what I mean. A guy reads in a men's magazine that if you eat too much tofu, you'll get man boobs. I'm not making it up. I'm not making it up.
I know you're not. So I'm laughing with you.
And so what he means is you gain a little bit of weight and you've got some breast enhancement. That doesn't look good on a man. And that came from eating a soy product because soy has something in it. And you can easily disprove that by going to the beach in August. And if you see a heavyset guy who's taken off his shirt, ask him, go right up, ask him, how much tofu have you eaten the past week? He's going to say, what are you talking about? I don't eat tofu. I don't eat any of that stuff. How about edamame? No, I don't eat that stuff. When he eats his burgers and things. What happened in his body is he's been eating burgers and pizza and French fries and fattening foods. As he's gained weight, his body fat, each fat cell is converting his male hormones into female hormones. Now, that sounds funny, doesn't it? Fat cells are not just inanimate blobs of calories. They are active factories. And the testosterone that his body's making in adequate amounts going into the fat cells, and the fat cell converts it to estradiol and estrogen. That goes to his breast area and produces breast tissue. So he can go to the doctor and say, I got low T, what's the problem? And the problem was that he had gained weight from his diet. Put him on the kind of diet that I'm describing, he loses the weight, he loses the breast enhancement, gets his testosterone back to where it ought to be.
Loses the breast enhancements. I love that. Okay, so again, I want to remind all of you that Dr. Neal Barnard, every time he comes on, he's so generous. So for those of you, it's time to promote this book. And the way you do it is by sharing this class, also liking the posts and tagging your friends. This is information that's invaluable. And that's what we talk about at whenyouneedafriend.com. We are, this is the website that I want you to go to and subscribe to, because this is where we stop and take ownership, responsibility for your life. That's spirit, mind, and body. One size does not fit all. So we have lots of teachers in the classroom, and what resonates with you, and when you start learning about these truths, you will have informed choice. There's nothing better than making a decision knowing all the facts. And then you can choose what's right for you. And so with that, I want to encourage you to, when you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, like and follow social media, also YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And so do whatever you can to promote the classroom. While you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, make sure that you click on the sponsors button, because without my sponsors, there would be no classroom. Sponsors like Liberty Health Share, Keep Me Safe Organics, because here we are, we're eating foods that are healthy for us, but then we're putting toxins in our body through beauty products. So Keep Me Safe Organics is also eliminating that obstacle in your body. And First Alternative Care, Dr. Stephen Grable, who's holistic functional MD in Jacksonville, Florida. The pharmacy in Merritt Island, Live Longer Medical, that's making you look as good on the inside as the outside. Ground Therapy, which is helping you get grounded as well. And Brain Tap, rewriting the program. So there's so many different ways that we can complete the puzzle of our life. There's so many different pieces missing. And one of the pieces is, how do you treat your body? How do you keep balance in your life? And it's all about informed choice and figuring out how to create that balance that you do want. So please promote our sponsors, figure out ways to support our sponsors the way they are supporting the classroom. And finally, you can become an enrolled student. How can you do that? With your time, your talent, your treasure. I do this out of the kindness of my heart. And I'm not getting rid, right now, I wish, there are times where I wish that I didn't know this information, because it was when I first started the classroom, it was all about, what's the latest in the pharmaceutical industry, what's the latest trends. And that's how it started. But being challenged to go raw vegan for 1 month, I thought, man, if they lied to me about food, what else is out there? And that's what I want you to do. I want you to choose what else is out there that is scientific, that is factual. It's not a fad. And so I want you to grow. Let's grow together. You can take a pill, you can take responsibility, which is the motto of it's my registered service mark. Like Dr. Barnard said, we're not against the pill, but if you can do something to eliminate that pill, then you've hit the sweet spot. So please look at different ways that you could promote the classroom, treasure time and talent, because there's so many things that we do need. So Dr. Barnard, I'm always so grateful to you. As I looked at your book, you have so many different things that we haven't even tapped into, not even dipped our toe in. And so let's talk about some of your favorite key things that you felt were most important in your education as you're writing this book, thinking, now this is going to change people's lives.
I got to tell you a surprising one. And we've already talked about sex hormones, and that's menstrual pain, fertility, endometriosis, fibroids. For men, fertility issues, prostate cancer, for women, breast cancer, that whole side. We talked a little bit about thyroid and the thyroid gland, and diabetes and insulin. All of these things, when you get your body back in balance, all these things can improve. But the one that really surprised me, I have to tell you, is the effect of foods on the brain, on brain function.
Yes.
And we were doing a research study with the car insurance company, Geico. And the whole reason we were doing it is that their national headquarters is about four blocks from my office. They have 2,500 people who work there. They have some people with weight problems and diabetes. They wanted to see if they could help them. So we implemented a completely vegan diet at Geico. And we ended up ultimately doing it in 10 different cities across the United States, from Macon, Georgia, to San Diego, to Buffalo, New York, and all around. And the point was we were going to try to see if diabetes could get better, if people could lose weight. And of course they do. But the thing that we weren't expecting is that the participants' moods were changing. They were feeling better. And so we used paper and pencil tests where you actually rate mood in very careful ways. And two things happened. Depression was lifting and anxiety was going away. And we thought, is that just a coincidence? So we started checking other things, and we found job absenteeism was actually reducing as well. So people were at work, they were feeling better. And then we discovered other researchers that found the same thing. So I think there's two reasons for it. The first thing is, I guess a lot of people have heard that there's a connection between your gut and your brain. That if you have a healthy digestive tract, what that means is you've got healthy bacteria, a healthy microbiome that ends up making natural, healthy chemical transmitters that go to the brain and make you feel better.
Yes.
You can also have an unhealthy gut microbiome that makes you feel worse. Mm-hmm. At least this is our hypothesis. When people are suddenly eating simple things, vegetables and fruits and beans and whole grains, that nourishes the healthy bacteria. It makes you feel better. And quickly, within a couple of weeks. The second thing is that your body can be inflamed. And you and I have talked about this before, that the body can have inflammation, which means the white blood cells are actually making compounds to try to fight against bacteria or viruses. Mm-hmm. If you eat the wrong foods, that inflammation process can be triggered, and that affects the brain too. Foods trigger that process. When you get the bad foods out of your diet, the brain suddenly loses that inflammatory input and you feel better. So we're not sure which of these components, whether it's the gut microbiome or the inflammation or both, we think it's both. We're not sure which is most important. But what we do notice is that when people make this diet change, yeah, you lose weight. Yes, your blood sugar gets better. Yes, your cholesterol falls. Things are going great. But mood just goes for a lot of people, which is a wonderful thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Depression's a serious thing. Take it seriously. Suicide is a real risk. So don't fire your psychiatrist. Don't throw the medications in the trash. But what you should do is let's get our diet together. And if you can, lace up your sneakers and go out for a good brisk walk in the sunlight with somebody you like, or something like that. And what you do is you put these things together and it just recharges the brain chemistry and makes you feel good. And for anybody who thought depression is only related to personal events, has nothing to do with your physical body, we learned a long time ago that physical factors can affect your brain. And when we tackle those, you can feel dramatically better.
You know, I've done a lot of course, I have my own personal story with not loving people that
Right.
have cognitive decline. And it's sad. It's sad that the generation before us, you know, that's when the TV dinners started coming out, and that's when all the, you know, convenience foods and the fast food restaurants and all that, and, you know, pretty much they bought into it. And then they taught us to buy into it, and we taught our children to buy into it. And so somewhere along the way, we just need to be a generational pattern shifter. We just need to say, stop. And if, you know, because we're told also that once you have a disease, you always have a disease. And you have proven time and time again in every book that you've ever written that that's not real, and that we've got to reprogram our thought process. And so with people that are watching this broadcast, maybe it'll be the first time that they hear food as medicine as well. What would you like to say to them that will maybe motivate them to consider it? Because many of us get critical about people that change their lifestyle. All of a sudden we lose our social friends because we're not eating French fries or cheeseburgers or chicken wings. We lose that. People kind of bully you into wanting to eat a certain way. And you have a long story of where you grew up too. So what is some advice that you could give people to say, you know what, I choose my health over looking good with my friends, or, you know, following the protocol of you get old, you get sick, and you die?
Yeah, I think the world is changing in a really good way. And the prescription that I'm describing here to get your hormones in balance sounds far-reaching, or it used to. The idea of eating vegetables and fruits and whole grains and beans. For a person who's really eating chicken wings and burgers, that sounds like a heavy lift. However, I'm discovering more and more people are trying exactly that. And if you happen to see the Golden Globes or the Oscars this year, the dinners that they catered for all those Hollywood celebrities happened to be entirely plant-based. And they did it for the environment. And then Joaquin Phoenix, when he accepted his Best Actor award, spoke out about the need to really think of all these things. And what he's talking about is a plant-based diet. So I guess what I'm saying is that people are thinking about this. But it still sounds like a big lift for people. So here's my advice. Mm-hmm. Number one, anything you do is a good step. Every step, however big or small, is a good step in the right direction. And secondly, focus on the short term. Don't think about what you're going to be eating 25 years from now. Just think about the now, this week, maybe the next couple of weeks. That's it. Because if you think short term, you can commit to big changes. All right, for this week, I'm going to be a vegetarian. No animal products in my diet at all. Keep the oils low, see how you feel. And what you discover is you feel good. Keep that short-term focus, and let's see what happens. Then maybe the most important thing, share this with other people. That's what you do so brilliantly, Lillian.
Oh, you're so sweet.
If you've got knowledge that can save somebody's life, you don't want to keep it to yourself. You want to spread it far and wide. So think short-term, feel the benefit, and then let everybody else know.
Unbelievable advice. That's wonderful, Dr. Barnard. And thank you so much for your kind words as well. And the book is called Your Body in Balance. And so the question is, what are you willing to do to have your body in balance? I mean, the book covers, I want to talk about the recipes that are in this book. There are beautiful recipes. And I do want to mention Lindsay Nixon. She's the one. Did she help you with the recipes, Dr. Barnard?
She did all the recipes, and she sent me a note with them saying, I hope you like the recipes, but this way of eating cured my cramps too. So, that's validation.
That's validation. Okay, so for those of you who would like, we're giving away 3 books today. So everybody that posts, you see, I cannot see, I'm kind of in a handicap right now because I cannot see if you're writing anything on Facebook or how many of you would like this book, but post on there that I want this book in the comment section. Also tag your friends. That'll give you 2 entries. Share it with as many people as you want. Every time you share, you will get an entry in. The more you promote this lifestyle and this book, the more entries you will have. Your name will be entered into the winner's basket, and then 3 names will be selected. I will call the person or text or email the person who is the winner. If you're listening on podcasts later on, we will also include you. So that's why I'm waiting till Friday. YouTube, you're watching on YouTube, you will have a chance to be a part of it. The way you do it is you go to my Facebook page and you do follow the prompts. You like the page, you share the post, you make a comment that you want this, and then you start tagging people. The more people you tag, the more you get in there. So the book is called Your Body in Balance. And Dr. Barnard, you could be doing anything you want to do. It is stressful to write a book. It is stressful. You want to make sure you get everything in. So I want to acknowledge you that, you're still, I've talked to authors that say, no, this is my last book. This is my last book. And you go, no, I still have, I got some more in me. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing to change our frame of mind. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. I feel like it's a walk through the forest. We find another treasure after another, and I just want to share them with you.
Yeah, but it is simple. It's a treasure. You can say, okay, plant-based, whole food plant-based, is it a cure-all? No, there are other things that we do to ourselves that may cause something not to work. So it may not be that the whole food plant-based diet is working for you, but that there's other what do you call it? Undercurrent. What is it? What's the word?
That's good. The things you haven't addressed yet.
Yes, there's other issues that maybe it's like peeling of an onion. So speaking of onions, let's talk about some of your favorite recipes that were created in this book.
Okay. Well, I know we're very low on time, so I want to mention just one. And you'll see pizzas and wraps and all sorts of very familiar foods. But I got to tell you, there are chocolate cupcakes in there. And the reason that I'm mentioning that is people will think, oh, I'm going to give up all the pleasures of life. But there are actually chocolate cupcakes in there. Go ahead, give it a try. Everything is healthy. There's no animal products. There's no junk in there. But I have kind of an ulterior motive, which is that when a person changes their diet, I want the people around them to go, that looks great.
That's
so
right.
You've got your chocolate cupcakes, you bring them to work, everybody's gonna wanna know what you're doing. So have at it. And the credit for that goes to Lindsay, who made those great recipes.
Well, Lindsay did a great job. I'm looking forward to making some of these recipes when I get home. Right now I'm with my parents, and I just want to give everybody an update that my dad was released from the hospital, and we're all excited to have him home. My mom and my dad are going out on a date to the cafeteria in their assisted living facility. So we're giving them some time to reconnect. So thank you so much for all the love and prayers. And Dr. Barnard, thank you so much for your love that you pour into these books. Not only, for us, for you, that you're spreading the word of being kind to animals as well and protecting our environment, but for all of us who are learning a new truth about how to take our health back. So, just thank you for everything that you do. And I'm looking forward to not just, diving into these recipes, but also to giving this to some of the people that will hold this book as a treasure in the future. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. I hope they enjoy it.
Okay, so you know what to do. Please, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, you know that you can participate in this giveaway. The book is called Your Body in Balance. You can get it at your local bookstore, Amazon, your website, right? It's on your website as well. So let's make sure that we become the John the Baptist of this book and spread it from the mountaintops. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Neal Barnard wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Thank you, Dr. Barnard. I have a date with my family just now, so I wish I could talk a little bit longer, but I know that you also have things to do. But thank you for this incredible book and this incredible treasure that you're giving to so many people who have lost faith that they will ever get better.
Look, thank you. All the best to you and your parents. Go get them. They're lucky to have you looking after them. So
Thank you all.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Take care. Bye. And for those of you, we'll talk to you soon. And remember, your life is in your hands. And so, you're the only one that will be the strongest advocate for yourself. So we'll talk to you soon. Take care. And thank you for all the love and prayers. Bye.